Hi everyone, for all who are joining us for this webinar on sustainable development. I can see we've got a couple of people who are just joining. So if you've got any questions throughout the session, please do post in the chat. We're more than happy to take questions throughout the webinar, and Divya will try and answer them at the end. So yeah, we'll just give it another few moments for people to enter the webinar. And maybe if you could put in the chat what country you're from, where you're joining us from. It's just midday here in the UK, so nearly lunchtime. But it's great to have so many people joining us from around the world. So without further ado, I will just get started and give you a bit of an introduction. So, hi everyone, I'm Sian and I'm the International Marketing Manager at the University of Sussex. I'm delighted to have you join us today for our Development Studies Week. We're celebrating our first in the world ranking. We've had this for 10 years running, and we've got a really exciting series of webinars that are happening throughout the week. So, big thank you to everyone that's joined the call today. And yeah, there's plenty of other webinars and career sessions happening this week. So if you haven't checked out our website, I will put a link in the chat to the rest of the webinars so you can join them if you wish. So today's webinar, we're going to be focusing on our Sustainable Development course in the University of Sussex Business School. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Divya Sharma, who is the course leader for this programme, and also assistant professor in sustainable development. I'm also really excited to say that we've got two alumni on the call as well. So we've got Raphael and Teishi, who are going to tell you a little bit about their experience on the programme as well. So over to you, Divya.
Thank you, Sean. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. Thank you for joining us. I'm just going to start by introducing myself and then go on to share my slides, which will give you a bit of an overview of the program, what you can expect through your journey, as well as the kind of broader department that you'll be a part of if you do decide to join us. So my name is Divya. I'm one of the course directors for the MSc in Sustainable Development. I've been around at Sussex since 2019 and have been the course director for this program for the past 2 years. My own research looks at the political ecology of food and sustainable agriculture and farming, particularly in India and the global south. So I will share my slides now. Hopefully everyone can see them. Okay, great. So, right. So why study sustainable development? I mean, we're currently living in the midst of climate crisis, sort of deepening social inequalities, conflicts, and all of that is a core part of kind of thinking about the future and how to address these challenges, which is what this program is sort of focused on. To start by talking a little bit about the core kind of axioms of the way this degree is designed. So we look at not just environmental sustainability, but how environmental sustainability interacts with questions of social inequality and social sustainability, broadly kind of thinking about the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So everything from thinking about gender to education to reducing inequality and poverty. and how that interacts with questions of ecological degradation and regeneration and repair. Um, so the degree takes an interdisciplinary approach, but is broadly rooted in the social sciences. What you will get is a training for kind of understanding and framing these very, very complex set of challenges, how competing perspectives frame the problems, and therefore how the solutions we arrive at can also be quite distinctive and sometimes contradictory. So you will get a broad sort of interdisciplinary training in the social sciences, drawing on critical development studies, political ecology, environmental justice, decolonial studies, as well as innovation studies. So you will have people who teaching you who are trained as economists, sociologists, sometimes with a background in natural sciences, but are interested in thinking about these problems from a multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approach. One of the key areas of focus in this particular program is around the role of science, technology, and innovation in addressing sustainable development challenges. So we both look at both how science, technology, and innovation have produced unsustainabilities. In my work, for example, thinking about the role of agrochemicals and pesticides on farming communities and food systems, as well as how these can be reshaped to move in more sustainable ways, in the direction of more sustainable kind of futures. The second focus area in the program is around particularly around policy analysis and design for sustainable development. What the degree gives you in terms of tools and skills and methods prepares you for careers in policy, consultancies, in business, civil society organizations, national, local governments. So the way the degree is designed, it's kind of appropriate for people coming from very different disciplines as well as professional backgrounds. You will get a core set of modules that will create a kind of shared understanding and vocabulary and frameworks. And then in the second half of the to some extent in the first term as well, you will have the option, you'll have some optionality to craft your own kind of path, depending on your interests. So that's a very sort of broad overview. I've already mentioned this, but the course is suitable for applicants with no prior experience in this area. We've had cohorts, generally have a very international cohort of students who come from very different professional and disciplinary backgrounds. It's appropriate if you're looking to transition into a career focusing on sustainability transformations. And in some cases, we have colleagues who are interested in embedding sustainability more centrally into their current, roles, sectors, and professions. As I said previously, the degree provides you both with conceptual understandings as well as practical skills in policy analysis and design. You will be part of the Science Policy Research Unit, which is one of the world's leading research centers, currently kind of advancing sustainability research in areas such as energy, food systems, climate policy, health, digital services, and artificial intelligence, as well as other critical domains. Beyond coursework, you will be part of this sort of broader research community, and I will go into that in a little bit more detail shortly. Right. So this is the program structure. Uh, in the autumn term, you will have three core modules, uh, which kind of give you a broad foundation, theoretical and conceptual foundation in the contemporary debates in policy, as well as in the scholarship around sustainable development. Innovation and economic development then looks at the relationship between innovation studies in particular and structural transformations more broadly. And then you have a skills-focused module on policy making and policy analysis. You also have a bucket of options, so you can either do democratizing science and technology, or science, technology, and innovation in markets, firms, and policy infrastructures related to that. In the spring, there are methods core modules, so one on perspective, methods, and skills, which gives you a broad kind of social sciences training in qualitative methods, and then you have the option to choose from one of the two quantitative research methods. And then you have a bunch of options where you can kind of explore areas that are of interest to you. We have a very strong core research group in energy policy, and some of those colleagues will be teaching on the optional modules on energy and development or energy policy and sustainability. Innovations for sustainability focuses specifically on innovation policy in relation to sustainability, but in various you'll have examples from various areas such as biotechnology, governance, food systems, grassroots innovations, and others. And then there's a module on artificial intelligence and global digital policies as well. Then in the summer, you do a dissertation project, which is about 60 credits. And that gives you a chance to work with one faculty member to develop research on one specific topic that's of interest to you. And I think our alumni will talk about how that experience has panned out for them through the course, which will be quite useful. So these are some of the areas in which our graduates have gone on to have careers in. Specifically, for example, working as a consultant, sustainability consultant in businesses like Chartwells, or for the Worldwide Foundation in London, in conservation, or the intersection of conservation and agriculture. Several graduates have also gone on to work with their own national governments or working in local governments, focusing on particular sustainability in particular sectors, as well as policy think tanks. It's also a great sort of launching pad if you are looking for a career in research, either to go into a PhD or work in policy think tanks, as well as social enterprises, grassroots organizations. So as I said before, there's no prior requirement in terms of disciplines, but these are some of the entry-level requirements. Do write to our teams if you have any questions about, the any kind of eligibility requirements, but all of the information is on the website. And those are the application deadlines. So 1st of August for international students and 1st of September for domestic students within the UK. There's also a number of scholarships available for this program. You can get the full details on the kind of search tool online where you can, because some of the scholarships are tied to particular conditions based on your country and other kinds of conditions. But from 2026, we have an additional scholarship, which is the Sussex School of Progressive Futures. And MSc Sustainable Development is one of the few master's programs that is eligible for that particular scholarship. So please do have a look. As Sean already mentioned, why study sustainable development at Sussex? The university has had the #1 ranking in development studies for the 10th year running. I've already talked a little bit about the department where you will be located as a sustainable development student. However, there's also a much broader community of researchers and scholars working on sustainability in the university. And as master's students, we encourage you to go and participate in that wider community of researchers across campus. For example, in the School of Global Studies, in Institute of Development Studies, there's the Sussex Sustainability Research Program, which brings together researchers from across these departments. And lots of sort of cross-disciplinary, exciting research is happening in many of these research centers. I will talk a little bit more about SPRU, or the Science Policy Research Unit now. One of the key interesting things about SPRU has been that a lot of the research at SPRU has direct kind of applied impacts. So researchers at SPRU often work with non-academic partners, social movements, civil society initiatives, policy makers. And so there's a real kind of drive to, sort of go beyond the ivory towers of academia and actually think about science, technology, and innovation policies and practices in the real world, and how research can shape them and also learn from them. All of this will be reflected in your coursework through the degree. These are just some of the research areas and centers. I would encourage you to go and have a look on the website. So we have quite a lot of research around just energy transitions and renewable energy, in thinking about health. The Bennett Institute for Innovation and Policy Acceleration is doing really interesting work now in various areas, including sustainable finance. In the wider business school, we have a Digital Futures at Work Research Center that looks at questions around equitable work, and also the impact of digital technologies on both employment and sustainability. Right. This is just to sort of give you an idea of the kind of research community that you will be joining as MSc students, which is really intellectually rich, but also quite internationally diverse. A lot of the research focuses both in the global north and the global south, but also sort of critically interrogates the relationship between the global north and the global south in thinking about some of these thematic areas. Um, there are plenty of opportunities beyond coursework to participate and engage with ongoing research within the department and the university. We also do um, things like workshops in the South Downs National Park. So the campus is located in a beautiful national park. And so it's a real privilege to be able to, just walk out and enjoy that. But we also try as much as possible to um, incorporate that into our teaching practices. You will also occasionally have opportunities to hear from alumni and other kind of events and talks with industry experts or policy experts and practitioners that are involved or engaging with some of the researchers at SPRU. All right. So I'm going to stop there and hand over to so we're very fortunate that two of our alumni have kindly agreed to participate in today's webinar, and they'll share with you their kind of learning journeys through the program as well as afterwards. Um, and that will hopefully help you understand a bit more about what you should be expecting. So I'll hand it over to Raphael first.
Perfect. So hello everyone. Hi, Divya. It's great to see you again. Um, so I'll start by just introducing myself and then giving you a bit more context of why I chose Sussex and what was my experience like during my master's. So my background is in economics and political science. I'm originally from Colombia. But for life reasons, I ended up working in biodiversity policy and climate change from early on. So I came to Sussex because I wanted to have a broad toolkit to understand system change and to integrate innovation into my different exercises as policy researcher. I often found myself working in so-called innovative finance mechanisms, for example, for biodiversity, and I wanted to sort of get this interdisciplinary toolkit, this broad toolkit on, as Divya was mentioning, system change and the innovation as in the broad sense. So that's exactly what I got. I absolutely loved the course. The professors were awesome. They really care for all the learning journey. They are absolute experts in their field, and they really deliver on the promise in of giving you those tools. Uh, I have a great example for a practical experience during my master's, which was I also was very lucky to be involved in with the Bennett Institute for Innovation and Policy Acceleration. Actually, my dissertation supervisor was the Sustainable Finance Chair Matthew Agarwala, and by being his research assistant in a project on sustainability in small island economies, I got both that research aspect of the experience, but also the applied policy research output for a KPMG Commission project on sustainability in small island economies. So that was a clear translation from learning to practice to real impact, which I believe was awesome for me to get while being at Sussex. Um, and that also derived in my recent roles, and that's what I've been applying in both at the Partnership for Agricultural Carbon and now as an academic outreach intern for UNEP-FI. Um, so a bit of context on that. I'm now the head of policy for the Partnership for Agricultural Carbon, where we accelerate access to high integrity agricultural carbon markets in Latin America. For we take very close to our hearts the mission to accelerate that access for farmers and for smallholders, and we definitely like for example in my case I definitely apply the policy research skills and the framings that I've got during the masters in my current job, and I'm also doing this internship at UNEP-FI. I'm the academic outreach intern as you saw on the slides, and that also feeds from my work with the Bennett Institute on Sustainable Finance. And I'm currently contributing to design the whole academic engagement for the Global Roundtable that's going to happen in June. Um, so I think that's enough of a context. What I would also add is just that besides the academics, like my experience at Sussex was overwhelmingly positive in the sense of great people. Everybody was very nice. We were all I think we had a great group, great like brilliant classmates in my cohorts. And in terms of location, because it's also really important, as Divya mentioned, the Downs is right outside your doorstep if you're staying on campus, and then you're just very well connected to well the broader the wider UK, as in you could go anywhere. You can catch a train, go to Gatwick, and be in Europe in one day's time, which was very very impressive to me, to change countries to wake up in another country and then get to class in the same day was this real experience for me as a South American. So yeah, that's definitely enough, and I give the floor back to Divya or to Taishi.
Thank you, Raphael. That was really useful. And also, as Raphael was saying, I think one of the really useful things on the program is the learning that you have from your peers. And, there's lots of opportunities to interact as a cohort, both informally, but also more formally through group work. And those are kind of really essential skills in any future careers that you might embark on. Daishi, um, I'd like to welcome Daishi now, who would. Daishi, please go ahead.
Uh, can you hear me right?
Yes. Yes, we can
Okay,
hear you
thank
now.
you. Okay, thank you very much. Hello, I'm Tashikama from Japan. I'm glad to be back with Sussex University. I had a great experience at this university, so I'm glad to talk about my experience at the University of Sussex. And I see numerous attendees from Japan, or the Japanese attendees. So probably like my experience is quite relatable to Japanese prospect students. So if you have any questions, like you can leave them up in the chat box, or you can add me on LinkedIn, and then you can ask me directly on LinkedIn. So, okay, so today I will talk about my experience, like about how I pivot my career from like marketing to international environmental policies area. So first of all, I introduce myself. I am Tashikamura from Japan. I had like a bit of like a bachelor's degree in economics, and I also studied business and marketing as well as economics during my bachelor's degree. And then after my bachelor's degree, I worked for 3 years and a half ish at some like marketing agency. So I got a bit of like experience in marketing as well. But I thought like I wanted to pivot my career from like mass production, mass consumption, like kind of like unsustainable business area to like sustainable area. So I decided to study in the UK, in particular at Sussex. And then what I studied at Sussex. So Divya explained about the modules of the course of Sustainable Development, and I chose like these modules, and then the modules in the red characters are core modules. So I basically chose policy, like modules about policy, as well as like innovation. And I also had an interest in like a business, like how I can connect business with like sustainability or innovation. So I often write my thesis or essays about like how like these two concepts could be connected with each other. And then at the end of my studies, I wrote a dissertation entitled as The Role of Diversity Certificates Credit in Nature Positive Solution. And I also had numerous other experiences at Sussex. First of all, internship. So I got to do an internship from like through Sussex. So like sponsored by Santander, a Spanish bank. So I worked at the sea level as an intern, and then I did developing the project in the UK and Portugal to issue biodiversity units credits. So if you look at like my like theme of the dissertation, the Road Biodiversity Certificate, it's quite connected to my internship area as well. So I interviewed the CEO or other colleagues, and then I applied this experience to my dissertation as well. So it was a great, so wonderful experience during the Sussex that I had. And I was able to connect this professional experience to my academic experience as well. And also from the bottom of the slide, I had a very like wonderful experiences other than studies as well. So first of all, like person the course mate, so I often went, playing football with my course mates or like other like students as well. I also joined some like society activities as well. So I joined often activities of walking society, and I also went to some activities of Japan society as well because I'm from Japan. And also there were like numerous activities, like volunteer activities. So I have a very big passion about like cleaning up cities or like nature. So I used to often like join the volunteers of cleaning up beaches of Brighton. It was like a really interesting experience, like to get to know other people from Brighton who have like a similar interest. Lastly, my current job. So I'm working as a consultant specialize in international environmental policies. So after I studied innovations and policies, I was like successful to pivot my career into this area. And then I'm mainly assisting the Ministry of Environment of Japan in negotiating, for example, the plastic treaty, but that has not been like agreed yet. And also some few other like environmental agreements. And also working on the implementation of the treaties above within Japan as well as abroad, like international cooperation. So I'm doing a bit of like a development, like international cooperation area as well. So I'm kind of being able to like apply my experience at Sussex into the professional career as well. So this is all for me. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to take. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Thank you both. I thought that was really insightful. Really enjoyed hearing about your career since you've graduated from Sussex. Just a couple of questions. There are some coming into the chat, so you do have time for people on the call. If you have got any questions for our alumni, please do pop them in the chat. My question for you both would be, if someone's thinking of studying sustainable development at Sussex, like what's your like one piece of advice that you would offer them? I'll let you have a think.
I'll let Taishi open the floor with that. No, I'm joking. First of all, Taishi, thank you for your presentation. It was very great, and now that I'm aware that we have some stuff in common, so I'm very happy to hear about that. So my very own advice for somebody thinking studying sustainable development at Sussex. Uh, well, I'll give two. One is more personal, the other one is purely academic. The first is to be very present in because it is just 1 year and it passes by real quick. So you would like all of our classmates agreed that we would have loved more time in uni. So that tells a lot about the richness and of the experience and how good it is. And then academically, just try to exercise your critical thinking in going uh, in your readings in the class, interact, try to really make the most out of the course in interacting with professors, making questions, interact with the material, because that's also associated with better understanding of what you would get here, and then better connections also with both your peers and your professors. So on the top of my head, that would be like the two advice I would give.
Thank you, Rafael, for going before me. So I got to think a little bit before. So my single piece of advice would be like just like jump in the like this quite precious opportunity. So don't be so worried about like if you're not really good at like if you're not confident about your like English ability or any other academic activity. I didn't mention, but Sussex offers so many assistance, like academic assistances, like career advice, like yeah, like you can get like so many like helps from the university, and then your friends, I'm pretty sure your friends would be so like willingness to like yeah, so willing to like help you as well. So like if you like yeah, just jump in like this wonderful opportunity. Yeah, Davilo, thank you.
Thanks, Taishi. There's some questions coming into the chat. I think the first two are for Divya. So the first one is I don't come from a technical background, but I do have management background and a substantial amount of experience in this field. How much technical intervention is involved in the course?
Uh, Hi, Ujjwala. Thanks for that question. So you don't need any specific technical skills or background for this course. As I said, it's kind of designed as a interdisciplinary social sciences degree, and it's designed in a way that assumes no prior specific skills set. So we have people coming from various different undergraduate degree backgrounds, natural sciences, humanities, management. So yes, that's the short answer is no. You don't need any particular technical expertise at all. I'll move on to the second question. Right. So it's from Yusra
Yeah.
Yusra. Sorry if I've completely mispronounced your name. So that's the area of finance and state asset management is not really my area of expertise, so I wouldn't really know which organizations in the UK you would be able to collaborate with. But there are people who work in innovation management studies in SPRU. Um, if you're looking to work with or contact someone who specifically works on sustainable finance, there's Professor Matthew Agarwala, who I think Raphael worked very closely with through his dissertation project, who's at SPRU. Again, I think with IDS, I'm not particularly sure who would be the best person to contact in those sorts of areas of expertise. But I'm sure if you know, all of the faculty and their research profiles are available online, so you can have a look. Sorry to not be able to answer that in more concrete terms. Before I pass it on to Taishi, I think the next question is for you. Very quickly to add to what Taishi was saying, there's a lot of non-academic support available at the university as well. In the business school, we have a careers and employability team, so you can book one-on-one meetings with them for coaching on everything from sort of how to write your CVs to interviewing skills, to finding specific kind of placements, internships, and from 2026, there's also a guaranteed internship being offered to all business school master's students. So you can choose one of two options. One is an individual internship, which can be virtual with international organizations. And then the second one, it would be a more UK-based option where you work as part of a group to do a consultancy project for a specific organization. They are guaranteed, but they're also optional, so they're not in any way tied to credits for your course. But they can be a really useful experience in terms of thinking about your careers moving forward. And yeah, Sean has just posted the link to that in the chat. I'll pass it on to Tashi. I think there's a question for you from Rena.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your question, Fujita-san. So I answer. So for the first question, there's a reason I chose Sustainable University in Japan. Yeah, just short answer, diversity. So like in Japan, like university, there are like good universities as well, but like in the UK, it's a lot diverse, like more diverse than in Japan. So if you want to get like more international diverse experience, like if you want to collaborate with like people from like various backgrounds, like the UK, like Sussex University would be better. And also like Sussex, so as I mentioned before, Sussex offers like so many like assistance to like prospective students. Also, the University of Sussex has a Japan office, so this office can offer so many like helps as well. So if you have some like doubts or like worries, like this office can help you out, I'm pretty sure. And for the second question, did I use a scholarship? No. Short answer is no. But when I was a student, I got a deduction for international students, I believe. I'm not sure if the Sussex is still offering the same scholarship for the international students, but I didn't get any scholarship, so I used all of my savings. But I also worked part-time like in Brighton, and also I did paid internship during the summer as well. So financially speaking, it was a bit of like I had a bit of tough time as well, but I was able to live out. So if you have any like worries about like finance, like you can ask me or you can ask about the international office as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Teishi. I've just put Takuto's our representative in Japan. So yeah, you're absolutely right. The international office can support you with your application. So if you do have any questions, particularly Rena, if you are based in Japan, I'd recommend reaching out to Takuto, and I've popped their email address just there in the chat. So I think that's everything. Unless anyone else has any other questions, I'd just like to say a big thank you for joining us for Development Studies Week. I really hope you've enjoyed the webinar today. We do have more webinars lined up for the rest of the week, as I mentioned at the start. So I'll just put the web link there if you want to book on any others. I know someone asked about IDS. They're running some sessions as well, so might be worth checking those out. And I can just see that Divya's put her email address in the chat as well. And we are recording the session, so I'll send a link out tomorrow with the contact information, a link to the online prospectus, and Divya's email address so that you've got that all to hand. So yeah, just all that's left to say is thank you, everyone. Thanks to our panelists, Raphael and Teishi. I thought your insights were really great. And it's always lovely for prospective students to get that kind of real life student experience. So thanks, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.